This morning, the White House is stepping up the fight against ISIS in Iraq. President Obama approved the deployment of 450 more troops. Just 75 of them will focus on training Iraqis. Most of the new American personnel will provide security. The initial goal of the retool strategy is to regain Ramadi from ISIS. General Ray Odierno is Chief of Staff of the United States Army, and we welcome him back to Studio 57. Good morning.
Morning.
Does the fact that we're announcing a new strategy suggest that our strategies in the past have failed and ISIS is on the march and they're capturing new towns?
Yeah, well, I think there's concern because ISIS has continued to show resiliency in the fight. I don't think it's a new strategy. I think what we're doing is we're continuing to execute the strategy we have. What we're doing is putting more people on the ground to train Iraqi security forces. So what we're doing is we're adding another site. And so we're bringing in some trainers and some force protection. But really, the number of sites and the number of Iraqis is based on the number of Iraqis that can be recruited. And so right now, we're limited by how many Iraqis are available for us to train, and we're providing the people that are necessary to train those they give us to train.
So it's all about training, but many people, including an editor on the Wall Street Journal this morning, raised the question that they're not spotters there, that there are no Apache helicopters at risk, and that there are no additional special forces. Is this enough simply to try to train Iraqis, and can the training of Iraqis ever be enough because it's failed in the past?
Well, I think first I would just say is you got to understand why this is happening. And my thought is, you know, we had this in a good place 3 or 4 years ago, and Iraq was safe, the economy was growing. We turned it over to the Iraqi government. I believe it's because the Iraqi government has not been able to bring all the different groups together. Until you solve that problem, in my mind, it doesn't matter how many people
That's right.
you put on the ground. And so my worry is, could I put 150,000 soldiers on the ground to defeat ISIS? Yes. But then
if you put 150,000, if you put 150,000 on it, would defeat ISIS.
Yeah. But then what? But then what?
You have to solve the political problem.
It would go right back to where we are. A year later, it would be right back where we are today. So I believe before we even consider anything like that, we need to solve
the political problem.
But do you think, General, we're leading towards boots on the ground, ultimately U.S. boots on the ground?
I think what we're trying to do, listen, I think in order to solve this problem, you need the Arab communities to solve this problem. The United States cannot solve this problem by itself. We need the Arabs to step up. We need them to understand we have extremism here, and they have to help us, and to include the Iraqis in order to defeat them.
But they haven't done that, yeah.
Well, again, there's this underlying, throughout the Middle East, there's this underlying Sunni-Shia issue. Iran, Saudi Arabia, Sunni-Shia. That's playing out, and that's what's making it more difficult for us and for anybody else to help them in order to defeat this threat. And so, of course, the concern is when does it get to a point where it is truly threatening the United States? And I think then we'll have to decide.
And we'll have to ask the question about
and then decide what do we do then. We're not there yet.
How would you assess the Iraqi military right now?
Well, I think so. There's a problem. The problem we have is, first, I think over the last 2 or 3 years, the leadership was purged. The leadership we trained was purged. I think they have to improve their leaders. I think
purged by the Shia government.
By the Shia government.
Baghdad.
And I think so. We have to see the right leaders in place that are loyal to fighting this fight, not loyal to a very specific individual in the government. I think that it does come down to, do they want to do this? Do they want it?
What do you think?
Well, I think it depends. I think it depends. So do Shia fighters want to fight in the Sunni part of Iraq? I don't know. And so what we need is a totally integrated army of Sunni, Shia, and Kurdish fighters that are there for Iraq, and they're willing to fight for Iraq. And that's what we need to do. And once that's done, we can train them, and we can help them. But until they're able to put together an army that represents everybody, I think it's going to be a struggle. The reason we're opening this new site is because we're trying to reach out to Sunni fighters and have them come in and join.
What's necessary to get them to join?
Well, I think they have to believe in the government. They have to believe that the government is going to be there for them. And so then they understand what they're fighting for. And that's why I go back to help. We need the government to really start to reform itself.
Well, we had a change in the Iraqi government.
Yeah. Well, I think so. So Prime Minister Abadi has said all the right things. I believe he's trying to do the right things. I think there's still a lot of undercurrents within the Iraqi government that is making it very difficult for him to do that. And, you know, so there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things going on that are making it difficult for him in order to do the reforms that are necessary, i.e., reach out to the Sunnis, bring them in as part of the government, make an oil deal with the Kurds, which he has done, and follow through on that.
But it's fair to say that for all the reasons you have laid out, we have failed to do what was necessary to stop ISIS, and in fact, they're gaining ground.
Well,
look at what happened.
What
in
I would
Libya.
say is from the beginning, Charlie, we said that this is going to take a long time. This is not a 3-5 year. The president said 5 years, I think, is what he said originally. It's a 3 to 5, 7, 10-year problem. This is not going to be fixed overnight. And the reason it's not going to be fixed overnight, I go back to what I said earlier. They need to fix this problem. We can help them, and we're willing to help them to fix this problem. But we went in and fixed it once. Now, it took us a while. It took us longer than we wanted it to, but we fixed it. The security was good. The economy was growing. We handed it off to them, and here we are 3-4 years later, and ISIS has been in control, you know, has really had an impact on the security of the Iraqi people and is now threatening the region in a much greater way.
You're in town because the Army's celebrating its 240th anniversary. How does one celebrate 240 years?
Well, what we do
is it a real big cake?
It is. It's a big cake. But you know what it's about really is about thinking about all of those who have served since 1775, before our nation was born, and those dedicated to serving this nation to provide us the freedoms and liberties that we have. And I think that's really what it's about. That's what we celebrate every year. And I'll tell you, having the opportunity to go all around the world, every time I come back to the United States, I feel so fortunate that I was born in this country.
Well, let me tell you, the nation owes a debt of gratitude
Yes.
to all the men who serve under your command.
Thank you.
Amen to that. Thank you very much for joining us and to all the servicemen and women.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.